Our political analyst and public administration lecturer at Northwest University, Professor Hanyane, just joins us now to discuss latest political developments, including ANC Secretary-General Ace Magashule's visit to former President Jacob Zuma. This is part of his consultation with the party's former leaders. Zuma yesterday released a lengthy letter saying he would not cooperate with the Constitutional Court. Let's now chat with Professor Hanyane. A very good morning to you, Professor Hanyane. I imagine you should be starting your daily consultations with the students, but thanks so much for making time for us this morning.
Good morning, Desiree. Good morning to your viewers. Yeah, it's back to the saddle.
It's an interesting time for South Africans who are watching senior leaders defy the Constitution and constitutional requirements. What should South Africans be making of this letter that's being considered as defiance from former President Jacob Zuma?
Well, Desiree, look, he's been playing the victim's narrative somewhat quite well, but at a time when the country needed some form of leadership coming from him to actually abide by the precepts of the Constitution, the law itself. He needed to be seen to be somebody who is able to promote the rule of law. And sadly, he took a different turn altogether, putting himself right on the verge as if he is a victim of a democratic system that is able to work, that gives everybody equal opportunity to rights, to opportunities, and of course to present himself before a court of law. It is unfortunate that it has come to this when we needed him to demonstrate a strong leadership in a crisis that we find ourselves as a country in.
We're ever hopeful, of course, at a time when both the state president and the SG are in the same province. Is there any hope of a conversation taking place to turn this ship around, or have we long passed that stage?
No, we've long passed, Desiree. Look, I think this demonstrates one thing, that the fault lines in the ANC are quite clear. There are those who belong to the RET camp, and equally there are those who would like to see Ramaphosa succeed. I think the RET camp will draw their pushback rigorously, despite the siege that they find themselves in politically. I see the likes of former Premier Northwest, Mahumapelo, being part of that camp of a pushback to say they're in it for a fight. They're not going to just give up, despite the ANC's ruling on the step-aside issue, and of course the somewhat weaker program of the party in terms of anti-corruption. The issue of unity is central as well to the party. And unfortunately, there are those who feel that their interests are much larger than the party.
Of course, the major countdown in the country, the Secretary-General working against time as we count down to the end of the month to see if he steps aside or if his party will suspend him. What can be done within this time frame, and what sense are you getting in terms of how the ANC intends to finalize this process in the coming 15 days or so?
Desiree, I have my own reservations about this whole exercise. I would have appreciated the Integrity Commission being mandated with handling this issue. But again, you're talking of an Integrity Commission that's somewhat weaker, and it's only now that its powers and responsibilities are being reviewed to accommodate it to be one of the strong structures within the party. It cannot be that the current SG's office is the one that is seen to be running this whole exercise at a time that the very same person in that office, his integrity is somewhat questioned. I have a difficulty with that. it in a sense sends this message that the ANC is not yet ready to deal head-on with issues of corruption, not ready to deal head-on with persons within its ranks who have been allegedly singled out as being involved in corrupt transactions.
Of course, there will be several attempts leading up to that time, and the latest one is that letter that the SG sent to provincial secretaries a few days ago in his attempt to widen the scope of the set-aside rule. Your thoughts about this?
Yeah, it's feeble, really. Who in an ordinary racial mind would raise his hand and say, can I be part of this list? Isn't this overburdening the 8 provincial secretaries? I'm saying 8 given the fact that Free State leadership must in its entirety step aside given the latest court judgment. So Free State is out of the fold. We are left with the other 8 provinces. And I'm asking myself, do those provincial secretaries have the capacity to handle this exercise going forward? Are they legally capacitated? What mechanism are they in turn going to use to bring forth those lists that the SG office is looking for? As I said earlier, Desiree, this is one exercise that should have been given the Integrity Commission, a commission that is capacitated, that has the will as well to actually pursue this exercise.
Professor Hanyane, we saw yesterday President Cyril Ramaphosa announcing very senior and strategic military appointments. Are these as a matter of course, or does it play into the political discourse?
Well, seemingly there is the narrative that there should be merit to it. But I'm also thinking that it's perhaps trying to do catch up with the rest of the continent. If you look at Tanzania, at some states, Liberia, Malawi, they've been in the forefront of promoting women in key strategic positions. Perhaps it's a wake-up call that says, look, as South Africa, we can also match developments on the front of empowering women, especially within the public service or public sector, wherein strategic positions are filled by women. I hope that this exercise is not marred by old mistakes of not vetting these persons, of indeed advancing meritocracy within the public service and public sector. Otherwise, this might hit back as an embarrassing exercise.
Let's thank you again for speaking to us this morning, Professor Hanyane there. Political